What's up, everyone? Rocco here, another episode of the Ball Podcast, and so today's St. Patrick's Day. When you're watching this, it won't be St. Patrick's Day. I probably should have changed my shirt, but deal with it, okay? So the World Baseball Classic brought up a lot of feelings and a lot of memories for me because it's an argument. An argument was going on, and people were talking about something that I always dealt with growing up, and now other people are dealing with as well. And that's with Team Italy, Team Italia. They have espresso in the dugout. They are so Italian, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, they're not even real Italians. They're why are you even?" So here's the thing. Now, where this all, ironically, the World Cup is coming up in a few months, and this is where I started noticing a similar trend, something that I always had arguments with growing up. When it comes to soccer, calcio, football, I'll say all three because people get sensitive about that. I root for Italy. Okay? There's people who say they root for Italy and they root for USA. I don't know if I'll get hate for this, so people will not understand the context. I always root against USA when it comes to soccer. I don't want to see USA do well in soccer. And it has zero to do with... Okay, to understand why I feel this way, I have to take it back. And we got to take it back. All right? So, growing up as an Italian kid, right? And people say, "Oh, you're Italian American." I was an Italian kid. I was raised by people who were new to the country. So, I was not getting the American experience. All right? At home, I was getting a full Italian experience. So, as an Italian kid growing up, I didn't watch baseball. I didn't watch football. I didn't watch hockey. I didn't watch basketball. All I watched, soccer. Right? Every Sunday, my father would sit there and he'd watch Serie A. And then, back in the day, Serie A, you couldn't watch whatever team you wanted. Rai showed one game and you had to wait for the trombones to start playing, the trumpets. And then the other game would show up in the corner. So I grew up watching Italian soccer, right? My earliest World Cup that I can remember, 1994. All right, 1990, I was like 4, so I don't remember 1990 at all. Okay, 1994, I was like in second grade. All right, and I remember when I fell in love. My father took me to Italy versus Costa Rica in Connecticut, and I saw Baggio, Signori, Maldini, Pagliuca. I fell in love with the sport there, watching that World Cup. I fell in love with the sport. The 1994 World Cup was my baptism to soccer, right? And of course, we lost the final. I'm going to go on record that even if Baggio scored the penalty, we would have lost. People need to understand that. People need to stop blaming the guy. 2 people missed the penalty before Baggio. Okay? Even if Baggio scored that penalty, all Brazil had to do is score the next one. And they would have won anyway. Can we stop blaming Baggio? Let's fix that record. Okay? No one's hating on Baresi or who was it? The name, I know it was with an M. I forgot the name. I want to say I don't know. I forgot the name. I'm not Googling it right now. Them 2 missed the penalties before Baggio. They don't get any hate for that, but Baggio gets it all. Let's fix that. Okay? So, moving forward from that 1994 World Cup, I was getting older, so I was in school socializing with more American kids. Kids who grew up watching football, basketball, baseball, hockey, all that stuff. And they hated soccer. They hated on soccer. They called it boring, stupid. They made fun of me for liking soccer. They said, basically ostracized you because you watch soccer and you didn't watch any other sports, right? So I grew up being teased for liking soccer. All right, there was a small group of kids who watched soccer, because there was an Italian core still. But from the American kids, we got teased for liking soccer. And then whenever the World Cup would come again, or the European Cup, or anything, or actually every year, because these people didn't watch soccer, but they would always come up to me and go, do you think Italy's going to beat Brazil this year in the World Cup? They don't face each other every time. Okay? So I grew up in a world where you got made fun of. The American kids teased the ever-loving shit out of us for liking soccer. Right? For watching soccer. They made fun of us whenever we celebrated Italy on 18th Avenue. They teased. So I didn't want USA to do well at all. Why? Because they didn't. I felt like the American kids didn't deserve that. You don't deserve your team to do well, so I never rooted for the U.S. in soccer. Maybe it's a dumb point. People, even my own friends, hate on me for it, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things growing up. I mean, it's less now. Now I don't, actively root against the USA. I just watch it. I'm more of a passive fan of the sport. There's players I like on USA now. I think there's only like one or two. Diego Luna's one of them who I really like right now. I like his attitude. I like how he plays. I never was a fan of the attitudes. Like Weston McKennie, I think I'm tainted because he's a Juventus player. That's why I don't like him. But I just don't, I'm not a fan of the attitude some of the American players have because they don't, it doesn't feel natural to and I think part of it is the MLS for me. I wanted in 1995 or 94, whatever that, I wanted the MLS to be everything. Because it was something I could actually watch at home. It was a different one. I could actually go to the games. They brought Donadoni. They brought Zenga, who was my favorite goalie when I was younger. They had all these things, and then they started off horrible because they had a clock that stopped when the ball went out of play. I'm not going to hate the shootout thing that they had because that was amazing. I still wish that was still a thing because I love that. But as the MLS started with good things and bad things, and I feel like they're taking steps backwards, which have hurt my thought process on them. Okay? This is what bothers me. Inter Miami. And this is strictly the name. Inter Miami. Why? Why did you have to name your team Inter Miami? Okay? There's a reason why it's Inter Milan. Okay? Inter Milan is Inter Milan because originally Milan only let Italian players play on the team. Okay? They would not let any non-Italian players play on Milan. So then became Internazionale Milano, which allowed foreign players to play. Was there a Miami team that didn't let international players play? No. So I cannot stand that the MLS teams don't come up with original names. It bugs the ever-loving shit out of me. How many United teams are there? Okay? Real Salt Lake. Why? Why? What? When the MLS started, the Metro Stars. Bro, that was the sickest name ever. The logo was sick. The jerseys, sick. Granted, they were Juventus colors, but still sick, right? The Kansas City Wizards. I think they're still there. They might be. I don't know. I don't really follow MLS. I follow individual players, things like that, because of all this. What was it? Who else was it? LA Galaxy's still there. They had names, the Tampa Bay Mutiny and stuff like that. The names were different, right? They tried to have an identity. And then all of a sudden it shifted to where they just want to copy other teams. Other successful teams from overseas, they want to copy that and take on that image. You can't do that, and it bothers me. The chants bother me. I swear to God, I was watching an MLS game, and I could have sworn I heard one of the Inter chants. I think it was the lo 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 the one Forza Inter, that one, right? But it wasn't. It was for an MLS team. They just took another chant, changed to whatever that, and this is what bugged me. This is what bugs me. Is that American soccer does not have its own identity. It's just leeching all. But yes, people will argue that's what the U.S. is. It's a melting pot of all mixed things. Yes, that's our culture. But we still need an identity. And American soccer in the U.S. does not have an identity. We're just leeching off everywhere around us. I was constantly teased for loving the sport growing up. So I never rooted for the U.S. I strictly rooted only for Italy. Italy was my team. Italy was where my heart was. I grew up in that world. That bubble was mine. And now with this World Baseball Classic, there's a whole new set of discussions and arguments and thought processes. There's ones that I agree with and ones that I don't. So, listen, the World Baseball Classic's a joke. It's just a preseason tournament, okay? The baseball is not a world sport, okay? It's basically an American sport. And when I say America, that's North America, South America, Central America. It's that right here. And now in Asia, okay? Other than that, there's not much going on anywhere else. So when you have a World Baseball Classic, you are assuming you have world players. And you don't. And that's where the Italian team. Now listen, I get it. All right? I did some chat GPTing because I wasn't going to do this on my own. So if it's wrong, blame chat GPT. Don't blame me. All right? So I looked it up. I wanted to see, because everyone said, oh, the Team Italy is not really Italian because they have players from Venezuela, players from, and everyone else is from the U.S. Okay, the coach is from Venezuela. Okay, Jorge Posada's the coach on the Italian team. We know he's not Italian. All right, but that's not a. Okay, it's not. You're not finding Italian players born in Italy. We don't have a lot of baseball fields over there. All right, kids are not growing up dreaming to be Mark McGuire, okay, or Derek Jeter. That's not what they want to be. Francesco Dotti. They want to be Roberto Baggio. They don't want to be Andy Pettitte. So we do not have Italian baseball players. We have Italian players. We have American players with Italian descent. That's what we have. All right, and I looked it up. Japan. Obviously, they have 100% of their team is born in Japan. South Korea, 90 to 100%. China, 90 to 100%. Puerto Rico is 60 to 75%. All right? And then they're all basically like that. And then obviously Italy's one of the lowest. So it's like 10% born in Italy. Spain has like 20%. Israel has like almost nobody. Czech Republic has 80. I don't know why it's at the bottom of this list. Um, Canada has 50%. Netherlands has 50%. I want to know is that here's the thing, and it's something I mentioned in previous podcast episodes. I want to know from other cultures if it's the same. If they get the same hatred that Italian, or not hatred, it's not hatred. I don't want to, that's too harsh of a word. Criticism that the Italians get. Like I mentioned in a previous episode that I wondered if like the Spanish speaking content creators who are born in America, do they get the same criticism that content creators like me growing up Italian, other people get when we portray ourselves as who we are, Italians, right? I wonder if that's the same thing. I wonder if there's a hoopla about the Israeli baseball team only having no Israeli players. If the Spanish team only having 20% of people born in Spain. And this is a percentage. It's probably even rounded up, so it's probably not even like that. I looked up the Italian team, and yeah, they have a couple of people born in Italy. Most of them are just like me, but most of them are just they they saw a Domino's commercial once, as the TikTok comment people say. But listen, it's not as serious. So, but that's why it was an intriguing argument for me, because that's something I grew up hearing. That's something I grew up having to defend myself on. But granted, it's the same people who are in that argument. It's the same thing. It's now all of a sudden people who didn't even know how to spell baseball like baseball because the Italian team beat USA. Okay, I had someone come up to me like, "Oh, Italy!" Yeah, I'm like, I didn't pay any attention to the World Baseball Classic. I don't watch baseball. Okay, I used to. I used to be big on fantasy baseball. I used to really be into it, but it's just way too long of a season, way too long of a game. I don't have the attention span to watch. So I started disassociating with baseball. So I didn't pay any attention to this World Baseball Classic. Honestly, if I'm correct, this is not the first time there was an Italian team. Was there this much like discussion previously, or was it that we just sucked so no one noticed, but now we beat a couple teams, so now it's like, hey, let's hate on the Italians again. But that's where we, as a society, it's we focus too much on the divisive sometimes, and it annoys me. I mean, I'm a natural hater by trait. I hate naturally. That's probably why I rooted against the USA growing up. But it's like people, it's more acceptable. It's like how it's still okay to bully fat people, right? With and it's still okay to criticize Italians. Those are still two of the accepted things, right? You can criticize an Italian to no end, but if you say something about a Mexican, you almost can get canceled. But Italians are still acceptable to criticize. Okay? It's just an example. I just said Mexican because it was the first thing that came to my head. That's it. You can make fun of fat people all you want, and you don't have to worry about it. It's something that it's interesting to me because I don't know. It's just interesting to me. But what I want to say is that we got to stop taking things so seriously. And again, I looked at some of the things from the Italian baseball team. They didn't do themselves much favors. Okay, they didn't really help the cause. they kind of bought into the rage baiting society. Okay? Because putting an espresso machine in the dugout, okay? Let's be honest, aside from what the 2 3 players that actually were born in Italy on the team, how many of those actual other guys drink espresso that normally? Maybe a few of them. Not enough to need the machine in the dugout. Right? I saw something where they were kissing each other on the cheek saying hello. You're doing that for the gram, basically, for the clout. Because I highly doubt you're doing that normally. I want to see those players now go back to their regular teams and keep that energy. I want to see. I don't know any of the players, so I can't say a name. I don't even know what teams they're on. I want to see player A go back to his player A team and kiss his starting pitcher hello. Do it. You just did it for the whole time during the World Baseball Classic. Do it now. If that's who you are, continue. But they're not. They're doing it because it raises the awareness. It raises the eyes. It gets people talking. It gets people arguing. We are a society that what gets us moving is negativity. Positivity dies. Negativity thrives. Right? So it's done now. Italy got eliminated. I don't know what's next. It's not that serious of a tournament. I don't think it is, at least. Maybe you could let me know. It's a preseason tournament. It's not the World Cup. Okay? The World Cup is coming up. That's a real thing. Italy has... Listen, our only shot for Italy to make the World Cup, honestly, is if Iran drops out and we drop in. Okay? Because I don't have any confidence that we're going to go play Northern Ireland and dominate. Okay? And then whoever we have to play after Northern Ireland, we're not going to dominate because we're not that kind of team anymore. We do not have the players to dominate because the creativity's gone. Creativity is gone in Italian soccer. You rarely see anyone, take a 1v1. Okay? And this is where, I'll analyze a little bit. The only one thought process I have, and again, this will be a little biased because he's one of ours, Pio Esposito. Right? He's a talent. A high ceiling of potential. Right? They're saying there's people who are saying he's the future of the Italian national team. Okay. Here's the thing about Pio. And this is coming from an Interista. Pio needs service. Pio is not creating his own chance, basically. He's not taking a 1v1. Right? He's not bringing the ball up. He does a hold-up play. He might help someone else create a chance with that hold-up play. But he needs service. And right now, I don't see who's giving him that service aside from DiMarco, who gives it to him at Inter. Gives him the service at Inter, giving it to him at Inter. My mind, okay. And that's DiMarco is a roller coaster of form. Right now he's on high form. He might be on low form. We don't have creativity on the Italian national team. We don't have a spark. And that's what worries me. We also don't have the grit in defense that we used to. Okay? The closest I think we have... Bastoni is a great defender. Right? But he doesn't have that nastiness, that Maldini, that Cannavaro, that Nesta, that the meanest defender we have is Mancini, who I can't stand. He's not mean in the sense that he's a tough defender. He's just an asshole. Right? So I worry about this Italian national team because we don't have a spark. We don't have our play doesn't have its identity anymore. We were known for defense. Now we're not known for anything. We're known for missing World Cups. Uh, so that worries me. And I think the problem is that whoever's still in charge in the Federazione, they have an old mentality. They're, Inter, I'm happy to see Inter, giving Pio minutes, letting him grow, but no, we need other teams to do that as well. Okay, we can't just keep sending all these young kids to Serie B, to Serie G, to play more minutes, but against lower quality teams. We need these players to get time now. That's what you see them doing in Spain. That's what you see them doing in a lot of these other countries. We're so quick in Italy because we're so afraid of the criticism from the media and from the fans that we need to win now. We need to win now. We cannot rebuild. Cannot give a kid a chance because we'll crucify him if he makes a mistake. The kid's career will die before he has even a chance to get on the runway. Okay? We're so infatuated. We'll give Luka Modric minutes at Milan. Right? We'll give him all these minutes, and he's like, what, 40 years old, is he? I don't even know how old he is. But what is Tommaso Ricci? I think his name is Tommaso Ricci, the young kid who's supposed to be this great midfielder, is not getting the minutes. Who's that helping? Who's that hurting? In the long run. Okay? We need our younger players to develop. We need that creativity. We need that identity. We need that spark. And unfortunately, I don't have any faith that it's going to change anytime soon. I can only control my kids. I'm developing a goalkeeper and the midfielder. Where they go, it's up to them. How further they develop, it's up to them. But I, again, live in America where you need a second mortgage if you want your kids to play competitive soccer. Because in this country, every coach has a hand in your pocket. And your pocket is how far your kid can go. I've seen the kids on these Red Bull teams and these NYCFC teams and all these big academy teams. There's one thing in common with all these kids. They're mostly, and I would say 90%, rich kids. Because that's what this country is. Our soccer, and this is what I'm saying, we don't have an identity. Because of that. We're not getting the true players of the game. We're not getting the true lovers of the sport. Okay? People will argue, yeah, it's because kids here will go play other sports. Well, sometimes that could be true. But it could also be because those sports might be cheaper. Okay? Like, it might not be true. I don't know how much the other sports are. I know hockey's ridiculous. I know baseball usually isn't so bad, but the equipment is. Basketball, I don't think is expensive. But I don't know anyone who really plays it like that. But we live in a country where money dictates your development. You could have a good trainer who is charging you, let's say, $50 an hour for a private session. But he sees the trainer down the road charging $100. He's charging $100. But now that trainer who was charging $100 says, I'm better than that guy. I need to be more expensive than him. So he starts charging $125. But now this guy's like, oh shit, he's charging $125. I'm charging $125. That's what we're living in. That's what we're doing. It's a mess. It's a mess. Sports in this country is a mess. And there's people who out there who are like, we need to change the culture. We need to do this. We need to do that. But at the same time, trying to take all the money you have in your pocket. So when it comes to sports and the World Baseball Classic and the World Cup, you support who you support. You play for who you want to play for. and tu fatti i cazzi tuoi. All right, you mind your own business. All right, guys, that's another episode of the Ball Podcast. Thank you for joining me. Right, RoccoTheComic.com for everything your Rocco heart desires. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy this fucking weather wherever you are. God bless. Forza Italia. Let's drink an espresso in the dugout. Dilly dilly. Happy, fuck it.